Welcome back to Will's Watering Hole. Today I'll be going over 10 fishing tips for beginners. So when a lot of people get into fishing, they feel the compulsive need to completely fill their tackle box up. Don't do that. As you progress in your fishing career, you'll then buy some more stuff, but you want to get a nice starter kit. And by this I mean a few lures, some bait, some sinkers, a few bobbers, pliers, and of course some extra line, along with the pole. Every bait has a specific purpose, which means whatever type you buy always catches a certain fish. When you're shopping, pay attention for what it says. Like this power bait here is trout. This stuff here is carp and catfish. Trout. Trout again, but on some it doesn't specify. It just says it catches some fish. Now, this doesn't mean that that's going to be the only thing it catches. Since I've caught perch with this, it doesn't say perch bait, it says trout bait. And I've come close to catching bass with this, even though it's made for trout. So it's really just a guideline. Some baits are already scented. As you can see, this one is garlic scented, while others have no scent at all. These are normal plastic baits. They have no smell to it whatsoever. Now, that can be really hard if you're fishing and you want to get a fish, because this is a murky green color. It has glitter in it, of course, but unless it's a clear water, the fish is not going to see it very easily. That is where this stuff comes in handy. This is Gulp Alive Minnow Spray. You basically apply this to bait, and it makes it smell like minnows, or whatever type of thing it has. Some are night crawlers, some are other small fish, just things that the fish you're catching eats. Now the fish is going to smell it as it passes by your bait, and it's going to be interested. So it goes over, bites it, and you got yourself a catch. Lures are my favorite thing to fish with. As soon as you cast it, you move it around. It's kind of the active way to fish. I've caught a lot more like that. I just can't do a bait and bobber. It takes much time. I don't have the patience for that. You want to make sure you're buying the right lure. Right here, I recommend the most. This is a Blue Fox Vibrax Gold lure. Helps me catch a lot of fish. I've caught probably like 30 perch with this. Of course, there's 3 hooks. I do catch and release, so when I catch the fish, some of the hooks get stuck, so I gotta bend them off. As you can see here, some of the hooks have been clipped off. So I burn through these pretty fast. To my next point. Buy multiple lures. Don't just get one, because if you lose it or get it on a snag, that's it. You gotta go home. Size also matters too. This bait right here is massive. You aren't going to catch any baby fish with this. Nor are you going to catch a large bass with this. The difference is huge, so make sure when you're shopping to get the right lure. My next few tips are going to be right in my backyard, since there's barely any wind. If I were to go to the river, you'd just hear you won't be able to hear me talk. This one isn't talked about enough, but tighten your line. Now, the thing a lot of beginners forget to do is use this thing. Now, a lot of poles are different, so it might not exactly look like this. But if it's too loose, as soon as you cast, it's gonna make the clicking sound, and your line's gonna be too easily pulled. See that? I can just easily pull it, which means you're not gonna catch any fish. So, we're gonna want to tighten it up. But don't make it too tight, or it'll make the line go too stiff. So a nice, tight middle ground is good. Firm, but not too firm. A great way to improve your casting technique is to practice in your own yard. You might not have a large yard, but you might be able to find an area where you can practice casting. You want to make sure your form is good so you can get it out as far as you can. What I mean is this. Just be careful where you cast, because you can't, if you bring it too far, you can get it caught in a tree, which is not fun. I've lost probably a few lures up there. Our next tip is to not jerk the pole when it's already in the water. This especially goes for bait and bobber. I know you might think that it's it's going to tempt the fish more, but it's only going to scare them away. Only jerk when you know that you got a fish on the line. Another great thing is simply just knowing your pole. Especially if you're brand new and you do not know how a fishing pole works. I have kind of a different one. I don't have a slingshot like Alex and Brandon do. But here, like, I'm learning the way it works. You flip this up to cast it, releases line. The tightening is right there. This is how you reel in. Just knowing the basic mechanics of your pole and how to fix it if something goes wrong. Going back to bait and bobber fishing, we're talking about patience. When you fish with lures, it's kind of an active mode of doing it. But when you're doing bait and bobber, you're playing the waiting game. Try to go at least 5 minutes with it being in the water. You can hold it in place or set it down, whatever works for you. Just don't reel it in after like a minute, unless you're sure that a fish has taken your bait or it's fallen off, or you just want to reel it back in. Another major component of fishing is time of day. Right now is a brisk, early spring morning. It can be a good time to fish. I'm not sure about the spring, because I usually do the most of my fishing in the summer. But during the summer at least, I go when the sun sets, or when the sun rises. Early morning, late evening is the best time to fish. Depends on where you are too. And finally, location. If you're looking to fish a freshwater like largemouth bass, let's say, you don't go to the Atlantic Ocean. Or if you want a mackerel, you don't go to a river. Do your research before you go fishing. There's a nice app called FishBrain that I used to use. It basically describes your location and what kind of fish are there. Most of the times you just have to do your research before you fish. So those are 10 fishing tips for beginners. I hope to release another fishing video soon, later this week. But until then, if you're new, subscribe. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. And we are getting really close to 100 subscribers.